Hey everyone, this is Darius from the Shotcaller. I'm very honored to be joined by Drakos.
Honored. That's very strong words. I appreciate that.
I mean, you are from the official Riot cast.
I'm so flattered.
You've been at the ULCS for a while now.
Yeah, it's been a bit. I came in technically like halfway through spring of 2016, cast a little bit of Challenger, came on full-time 100% in summer. So yeah, I've actually been here for a bit. It's kind of weird. It all goes by so quickly that you just kind of lose track of it.
And you've enjoyed your stay so far, of course.
I mean, yeah, Berlin's been really good. I definitely didn't get it at first. It was a hard transition into living in Europe from living in America. I don't think people are quite as warm here, just on the street in terms of casual interaction. Still very lovely once you get to know them, but a lot less like, how's it going when you're walking down the street. So I was thrown off at first, for sure, when I moved to Berlin.
Anything else besides the food that was really irritating?
I mean, the food was good. It's just, the issue here is that like fast food is really accessible, like pretty much everywhere. And so there was a pizza place across the street from my first apartment, and it got to the point where like they knew me and didn't ask my order anymore and just started making my pizza, and this like terrible like €3 pizza every day. And yeah, that was the decline. So food not being good, definitely not the issue. Food being affordable and also a little bad for you, definitely a problem.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I can only imagine. Luckily for me, I think the only thing I have in my area is a Subway, and of course that's still a bit...
Subway? I mean, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, you can make it unhealthy for sure. The meatball subs are tempting, man. But yeah, I generally a little bit healthier.
So right now, just in general, of course, there's always a bit of EU versus NA banter going on. Like in every thread, in every interview I post on there, like I post a random Steelback interview to Reddit, and people will be like, oh yeah, Steelback is EU trash, and like on the other end of the spectrum as well, of course. What's your take on, of course, someone who's from America on the whole NA versus EU banter, but works in EU?
I mean, I think it's always going to be there. I kind of love the rivalry personally. I also love that like anytime anyone can get a clickbaity title in about EU versus NA, it will get in there, and then people will not watch whatever it is, no matter what, and will just like start fighting each other. So I like that the fan bases are so passionate, but it is a little weird being a North American person in Europe. I'm still going to side with EU, though, every time. EU is greater. The results are greater. Yeah, exactly. Get it out there. Like, EU crushes every time. So I don't know why people in NA still feel like they can talk trash. Get a team to semis, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's just the reality of it all. Just win a best of 5 for once at Worlds.
Just win a best of 5, man. I understand. Like, maybe it'll come together. And admittedly, I think NA is going to get really good this year because I think they have a lot of, like, really good coaching staff. And I think... Mithy and Sven specifically, even with TSM suffering, I think that they are really, really good players who generally level up the people around them. So I think NA will get better, but yeah, it doesn't help if you choke on stage.
Will be very interesting to watch MSI and the Rift Rivals, of course, even though, you know, it's only best of ones.
I mean, it's so easy to talk trash now based on like historic records, but yeah, I guarantee they're going to, like, Cloud9 or something will come in and smash, Echo Fox or something will come in and smash, and then I'll be like, well, Huni was in Europe for a while. Kind of counts, right, guys?
And Cloud9 has 2 Danish people, so...
You know, the excuses will come out. We're already writing them down. I think NA is too. Everybody's just like, okay, what's our list of... Which one are we using this time?
I think Matic did a fantastic meme after TSM dropped out a Worlds last year around. Like, just the you know, the Yamaru, the seagull just shouting, and it was like, the stages were too cold, best of 1 suck, TSM were still hungover. All these lists of reasons that we just compiled onto.
It's so good. And it's just new ones get added every year. Like anything from any interview with the player ever. Yeah, we really didn't like the way the keyboards felt on our hands. The keys were they weren't square enough. People were like, keys weren't square enough. Can't win. Keys weren't square.
The lights were too bright from the electronic keyboards.
Yeah, that's a classic.
I mean, Norse Garen doesn't have a pink keyboard right now, so that's obviously holding him back.
Yeah, I think when we look at it, really, it's the keyboard color that's the biggest issue, holding us back right now. I mean, they won't let us always have the rainbow keys on, so it doesn't work, man. We just can't play.
Unacceptable. Now, speaking of a bit of memes going on, last week you did drop the F-bomb. How much did you have to pay to Riot?
I didn't have to pay anything, it turns out. Yeah, the thing is you don't find out it's a meme until you do it, right? People keep it pretty hush-hush. So I was like, oh no, am I going to have to pay a fine? And they're like, no, you're fine. I mean, don't swear again. I mean, it's your job, and if you swear enough, you won't come on broadcast anymore because that's clearly inappropriate, but we're not going to fine you.
I hope that it's fine wasn't the pun.
Oh, no. God, please don't. No. Just keep going. Don't stop there.
Keep going. Okay, different topic. Amazing. As a caster, he's casted 2 games now.
Yes.
Are you impressed by his work so far?
Yeah, so I got actually the pleasure of practice casting with him yesterday, and he's really good. His knowledge is really good. He's going to, I think, hit a lot of the same snags that Deficio did when he's first starting in terms of how do I convey this point in a way that's super understandable. And some of that is language struggle in terms of not being a non-native English speaker. And some of that is just like, all right, I am or was formerly, a very strong competitive player. How do I actually phrase this so people will understand it? Because there's a lot of like pro player jargon that I think is so common among pro players that when they try to like speak to people outside or explain to people outside of the game, they forget that they're speaking in basically another language.
I mean, I can only imagine making that transition. Luckily, I didn't have to. So
yeah, luckily I'm pretty bad, so I've never had to transition and learn the jargon. Although favorite term is still oinking. Oinking one learned from Mithy. It means basically doing nothing, sitting around doing nothing when shooting something. For those curious, although the definition may have changed, it evolves. Inting's one we all know. Hey, pro players speak.
Speaking of inting, how hard did Riot int when making those banner of command changes?
Oh, this is so bad, and it's sad, and it's like I feel for the balance team because like they can't see everything right, but this one feels a little more obvious to me. But I don't work with that team, right? Yeah. So I don't know what they're doing, but they're definitely going to catch a lot of shit for this. Like this is pretty strong, and I think it's going to be in every game for sure, and it is clearly very powerful. So I kind of hope it gets hot fixed, honestly, because it is game defining. But the games, other than the Unicorns game, they are ending faster. The first game at least did. So maybe it is good to speed up the clock at least a little bit.
And even with the Unicorns game, it felt like, okay, we don't have this kind of slow slugfest. We had some wet noodle fights at some points, but in general, it felt like, hey, if this would have been G2 playing, they could have ended at certain situations a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm not exactly, like I think there are answers, right? I think Jap pointed out on Twitter, Minion Dematerializer is really good. You give up a lot, right, not to use it in lane because it is really useful for early push pressure, but I think there is a world where people just take it and sit on it, or at least 2 or 3 stacks to just deny those first 3 creeps. But it is unfortunate that this is what the meta has turned into. There are answers, right? We saw that we saw in the Unicorns game, H2K were able to like pull off some hard engages. You can just engage on that team in theory, but I think it requires a lot more coordination to shut the strategy down than it does to execute it. So it'll naturally favor weaker teams, I think, unless you really are confident in your ability to force engages.
Fair enough. Now, right now, Vedius and Pyra are missing from the cast.
Yes.
Are you missing them already? For only a week.
Vedius, I mean, it's hard to miss Vedius because I get messages from him constantly, I'll be honest. But I mean, in my own way, I do miss Vedius. I get little updates where he trash talks Deficio. High quality trash talk, let me tell you. Martin did not believe in Glacial Augment on Scion, and let me tell you who sent the most passive aggressive message in our little Discord channel the second we saw a Scion with Glacial Augment. Yeah, it was definitely Vedius. Pyre on the other hand, Pyre's chilling, dude. Pyre's on vacation, so I'm like, on the one hand, oh, it's cool to have people here, and on the other hand, like, go have fun. Go be free from work for a week. You gotta respect it.
What would you recommend to like up and coming casters wanting to break into the scene right now?
Oh God, man, it's definitely. I mean, people always give the same advice, but it's like good advice, right? It's in the sense that just do it, just keep doing it, just keep doing it, just keep doing it, and just keep asking people for support and to help you get better, right? And so if you are a guy casting amateur games, there's like one guy above you who was casting amateur games that is now casting like semi-professional games. Like ask him for advice. And then when you're there, ask the Riot casters for advice and just keep asking. Because like generally people are happy to share and I feel like really receptive to feedback, but it is totally a grind. And I think that there's a misconception that like hard work will always pay off. There definitely is some luck with it for sure. Like I feel like I was very fortunate to get spotted where I did. It was a lot about meeting the right people and making the right connections as well as performing well. But I think if you grind enough, you are much more likely to get somewhere.
Yeah, and I can. That's usually what you hear from others as well, in multiple professions, of course. Now, one last question.
Yes.
Giants just dropped a game, and
Yes.
H2K just dropped a game.
True.
Are they out of playoffs contention as of today?
Oh God, no. I mean,
name me the 4 teams that won't make playoffs.
the 4 teams won't. Okay, so probably this is really hard. I mean, you're basically asking me to make a playoffs list. I feel like every single day my playoff prediction list changes, except for like Fnatic and G2 are clearly in, and I think Splice we're pretty confident are going to be in from the way they've been playing, unless they just totally int it up. The same is true for Misfits, and then so it's like the remaining 6 is just a complete mess. And so I don't think H2K will make it. I don't think Giants will make it. I surprisingly think that Unicorns of Love could make it the way that they're playing now. So for me, it's like Schalke, Roccat. Those are the guys that could not make it. But I'll be honest, it's so hard for me to give you a definitive prediction, man. It is so impossible because without like... Actually, Schalke have a really bad schedule. Yeah, so yeah, Schalke's not going to make it, probably. But I'll be honest, you, dear audience, it's almost impossible to predict 100% right now. Outside of top 4, I am confident. I am confident in G2, Fnatic, Splice, and Misfits. Everything else is a mess. If you want to know my 5 and 6, it'll change every week. I'm sorry. It's not good, but that's just the nature of best of one, man, is it's hard to keep anything locked down when a team shows up one day and crushes people and just hard feeds the next day.
And with one team, it's not just from one day to another it changes, but like they had 7 amazing games or 8 amazing games, and now they're just dropping games. Like I talked to North Skaren before this, and he was like, yeah, I expect Vitality to potentially go 7-11.
Yeah, that would be funny. That would be some memey. Good luck in McDonald's, but instead good luck in 7-Eleven. Make the meme, kids. It'll happen. But no, I don't think that'll happen. I think Vitality will get at least one more win. But also, like, they're only technically, like, 9 wins is usually pretty safe to make it to playoffs. There's a world where tiebreakers can push you out. But I feel like it can happen. But in the same way that it is with every team, it really depends on what this last week of practices look for them. So if they look bad today, North Skaren might be right. It might just be 7-11. They might just be donezo. But if they look decent today, then they probably will find 2 wins and make a run for playoffs. Even if it is 6th place that they get in the end, I think they will be there.
Yeah, and I mean, like, yeah, semifinal spots are pretty set at this point. No real point in.
I mean, like, maybe, but I find it pretty unlikely that Fnatic or G2 will lose, right? And especially in new Banner of Command meta, like if you play the early game even somewhat clean and snowball into like a good Baron with advantages, you just end the game immediately. So there is not really the room that there used to be to stall against a late game team in the way that, or against a really good team in the way that there was in like 8.1 and 8.2. Yeah. So definitely harder if you're trying to play against G2 or Fnatic right now.
Any shoutouts you'd like to give to your personal fans, EU LCS fans, people from abroad?
Yeah, thank you to everyone who has supported me and has not flamed me for dropping an F-bomb. Apologies. There's one dude, there's one person who's like, my child was watching and they heard that loud F-bomb, and to that person I apologize. It was heat of the moment. I'm not trying to like teach your children bad habits. I was just very excited. Otherwise, we do a podcast called Euphoria. There's guests on all the time. Me and Deficio do it. Check it out. If you like guests, Kasing laughs for literally, I think my producer messaged it, a half an hour. A half an hour of the podcast is Kasing laughing. That's an exaggeration, it's probably 10 minutes. But half hour of Kasing laughing. Check it out.
Yeah, there was a highlight of that. It was just 1 minute.
It took him the first 10 minutes of the podcast to get 2 minutes of Kasing laughing. So it's an indicator. High quality content, folks. Esports.
Good stuff right there. Okay, hashtag Euphoria. This was Drakos and Darius from the Shotcaller. Hope you had a good day. See ya then. Hey everyone, this is Darius from the Shotcaller, and I hope you just enjoyed that interview. This is a generic end card, so make sure to click here for another interview or here for a different interview. And if you want to check out more content, specifically from the NALCS, make sure to visit theshotcaller.net for more interviews and other esports content.